Our next story for today comes from Reddit user Carissa by the Sea and is titled Spreading Education on a Plane. Several months ago, I was in a very crowded... I'll start this one again. Several months ago, I was in a very crowded flight, but at least I had a window seat. There were the usual 2 seats next to me, middle seat and aisle seat, both full. I always have sympathy for the guy stuck in the middle seat on a plane. It sucks, so I don't use the armrest and I try to lean into the little gap of space offered by the window. I'm fairly short, so I don't mind keeping my legs a little to the side too. Basically, making sure middle seat gets all of their space. I've done this a dozen times before, and the person stuck in the middle always has space and always sticks to their space. I've even been thanked for it. This middle seat guy settled in, pulled out a pencil and an oversized pad of paper and started writing. One hand steadying the pad of paper, one hand writing. No problem there, but in the process he stuck his elbow past the armrest. Annoying, but hey, it's the middle seat and he was a tall guy. I figured I could just move a little more into the window area and avoid his elbow. As we get in the air, he settles in, puts his tray down as a writing surface and spread his legs wide. Really wide. The type of spread where his knee is well past the boundary of the armrest and is right against my leg. When he scratched the side of his leg, I felt his fingers, which was not okay. Particularly since my legs are together and next to the wall of the plane. I try a few tactics. I sit up more, fidget a bit, and push back slightly, just enough to remind him I'm there. I figure maybe he's distracted with his writing, not paying attention. Usually this kind of thing works. Instead, he shifts in a way that puts the top corner of the big pad of paper just a little into my area. It's not touching me, but now he's just taking up a little more of my space. Almost like he's trying to get me to see what he's writing. So sure, I look. He has very tidy handwriting, and I can quickly see that the page is covered with quotes from the Bible and paragraphs about avoiding temptation and not giving in to lustful things. Now, I have a live and let live view when it comes to religion. I have no problem with anyone's religious beliefs when they don't cause any trouble. If he had written in his own space, I would have happily just kept browsing on my phone, enjoying the plane's Wi-Fi. But with him crowding me that much, with his leg against mine, his elbow creeping past the armrest again, I was done. I hunted through videos online. I needed one with bright colours and big letters, with good pictures and no sound required. Once found, I made my screen as bright as possible and played the video in my lap, in my own space, but close to where his leg was leaning against mine, right in his field of vision. I think he must have looked over right when a cartoonish sexy devil appeared complete with Satanism displayed in large letters, followed by pictures of pentagrams and various historic images of the devil, because that's when the pressure finally left my leg and his elbow found its way back into his own space. It was a rather educational video actually, and I enjoyed learning a bit more about different types of Satanism, history and misconceptions about it that day. But more than that, I really enjoyed seeing the guy continue to glance over and try to move as far away from me as possible for the rest of the flight. TLDR, I used satanic videos to make a guy on a flight stop crowding me. It's also been edited to add, I know some people are so tall or big that they can't help but use a little extra space, but he managed to not cross the boundary of the armrest for the rest of the flight. So it seems that he didn't need to cross it to begin with. The aisle seat was occupied by an even bigger tall guy, so middle seat guy didn't have the option to crowd him instead. Good story. I'm a big fan of shoving people out of the way when they're encroaching in your space, and I do it quite a bit myself on buses, public transport, whenever I've taken it. If the guy sitting next to me or a girl sitting next to me is just taking up a bit of space, bit of an elbow, bit of a knee, just enough to let them know that you're in my space, bitch. Move. Hey there folks, Nick here. Welcome back to another Reddit Stories video featuring, of course, the Golf Club 2019 in the background. Let me know if you enjoy the Golf Club. I'll just arrange my papers. Let me know if you enjoy the Golf Club. If you do and you'd like to hear some live commentary on it, leave me a comment down below. Or if there's any other subreddits that you'd like me to take a look at, don't forget to leave me a comment down below with the subreddit and I'll take a look at it. Maybe it'll come up in an upcoming video. Or if you've got any stories that you'd like me to read out that you've written, leave them down in the comments and I will read them out in the next video or in an upcoming video because, I've got to prepare and some of these are prepared a couple of days in advance. But anyway, let's get on to our first story for today. Smash like, smash subscribe, and we'll get into it. This story is submitted by Reddit user JustStardustXO and is titled, "Don't Leave Dirty Socks on the Floor." Now, I've read this one and it made me laugh, so I hope you enjoy it. When I was young, maybe only a few years old, my dad was a forester and my mum was a housewife. That'd be a cool job, being a forester. Forestry worker, that'd be fun. Yeah, that'd be good. Anyway, she loved us, all four of us, but she loathed the constant cleaning. The thing that annoyed her most, however, was cleaning up after my dad. I think my wife would probably say a similar thing about me. He would come home after an 8-hour shift, covered in sawdust that had solidified into a heavy paste with sweat. He would pull off his heavy work boots and peel off his socks and toss them on the floor, and my mum hated it. She eventually got tired of it and threatened to nail them to the floor, and my dad would promise to do better but would inevitably go back to the same routine. My mum devised a plan. She waited until he went to change and she nailed his socks to the floor and waited. My dad eventually attempted to pick the disgusting socks up and laughed so hard when he realised. I'd like to say that he never did it again, but he's not perfect. However, all that changed when he had an accident at work and had to stay home. My mum got a job as a contractor and would come home sweaty and exhausted and throw her socks on the floor. Dad nailed them to the floor. My mum still roars with laughter when she tells this story. It's been over 20 years, and I think that's what a damn good marriage is all about. TLDR, Mum got sick of picking up my dad's disgusting socks, so she nailed them to the floor. When Mum did the same thing, my dad nailed hers as well. Yeah, that was a fantastic story. I enjoyed that. It's great because it's not just a bit of petty revenge, but it's fun and it's in jest and it's between friends and family, and that's great. And I love that they're both still married and doing fantastically. And I hope that my marriage continues on like that, because that's kind of what we're like. We take the piss out of each other, we annoy the shit out of each other, we love the hell out of each other, and we spend so much fun times together. And that's what marriage is all about. The next story for today is another short one. And is submitted by Reddit user Swanky Swede 2 and is titled Chemical Weapon Retaliation. It is a really short one, but it's one that I personally feel very strongly towards, and yet at the same time away from. I do this a lot. Several years back, you mean like 2 days ago, I was browsing the t-shirt section in a thrift store. There was only myself and one other guy in the store besides a lady at the register, and the aisles were fairly narrow, with about half the length of the store being dedicated to said t-shirts. I'd been browsing for all of 30 seconds before the other guy decides that the t-shirts right where I was browsing were where the best ones were, because he shoved his way in between me and the rack, pushing me back into the clothes behind me. Dick move, bro. But I'd eaten a lot of low-quality Chinese food and cheap beer the night before. So I farted, just loud enough to hear, but what it lacked in bark, it more than made up for in bite. I wondered myself if I'd shit my pants. We made eye contact. I saw his nostrils flare, and then the recognition that he had messed up crossed his face. Never saw someone scuttle out of a store so fast. I'm gonna pause here and do a little bit of story time of my own. This is a regular occurrence for my wife and I. We'll be in a shop and she'll be, scanning things that she's looking at, trying to decide what she wants to buy or try on or whatever. And usually when I start getting a bit bored and, I'm a bit over it and you're not picking anything, and what are you doing? Come on, hurry up. That's not going to fit. Oh, that's ugly. You're not going to wear that. You know what? We need to get out of this area. What do? I drop my guts, wait about 10 seconds, and then quietly to my wife say, I think we should leave the area. And she looks at me and goes, did you fart again? And then we leave, because usually it fucking stinks. But that's my story. It's fun. It does move your wife along. So if you've got a wife who likes to shop a lot and you can cook up a good fart every now and then, it's a good way to get stuff moving. Pun not intended. We have arrived at the magical moment, which is the second last story of this video. Now, I'm putting this one second last because the one that I've got last is one of those run-on sentences, bit ridiculous, it may not even make it. So, if this is the last story in this video, then you know why. It's because the next one sucks. But this one, not to draw any attention away from it, is submitted by Reddit user Gabriel Hunter and is titled Let It Go! And of course, Gabriel Hunter apologizes as most Reddit users do and says that English is not their first language and apologies for errors in grammar, blah, blah, blah. All right, on to the story. I live in a small one-room apartment by myself. It's small but close to my university and close to the town centre. Perfect for a student. My apartment is on the ground floor and above me are 3 more apartments. I don't know the people living there because I'm kind of a loner and I tend to stay by myself. I don't go out much. So maybe the tenants over me changes. I don't know. But from one day to the other, it got loud every evening. And I don't mean like loud walking or TV noises. No, I could hear them talking, more like shouting, and listening to music all night. It sounded like a never-ending party up there. Normally, I'm not that easily triggered by noises. I have a good sleep and I'm good at ignoring other people, but it went on for hours every night. And it was not just a weekend, but on work days too. So I knew they did not just have a birthday party. I did not care about it much on the weekends because I'm night active and stay awake until early in the morning anyways. But on work days, I need to wake up at 6 a.m. to go to the university. So I needed them to shut up. I might hate talking with strange people, but after a week with almost no sleep, I'd had enough. I walked up to the door and asked them very politely to just turn it down a little in the night. And they promised and apologised about the disturbance they caused. Everything's solved, right? Hell no! 10 p.m. came and went, and the music and the loud talking was still going on. I had a massive headache at that moment, had no nerves to get back up to them to tell them to shut the F up. No, he actually says to shut the fuck up. I just went to bed, but put my earphones in and listened to some nice ASMR. Don't judge. The same spiel repeated itself over the week. I went 3 more times up and told them to be quiet, and even thought about calling the police, but did not want to deal with angry neighbours for the rest of my time in this place. So I thought about it a bit more. A bit more of a subtle way to get them to stop. You need to know, I'm a professional soprano singer. I don't make money with it, but I have 7 years of classic opera singing training. I don't know that this person knows what professional means. Professional means you get paid. So if you don't make any money, then you're not a professional. You're an amateur. At best, you're a quality amateur. But I got 7 years of classic opera singing training. This means I can sing very loud, very high, and for hours without getting tired. I also have a slight addiction to Disney songs and love to sing them. Normally I do that quietly because, I'm a decent human being and I'm considerate of my neighbours. But some people needed to learn a lesson. At the next weekend, my alarm clock had woken me at 6 a.m. I was tired and grumpy because someone did party the whole night and disturb my sleep. But after a nice hot tea, I felt good enough to start my evil plan. I put in my favourite playlist of Disney karaoke songs. I know all the lyrics by heart, and so I started to sing very loud while standing in the small kitchen. The kitchen has a vent that goes through the whole house and connects all the apartments together. And I can tell you, that sound travels quite well through that vent. I don't know how long I sang that day, but it might have been around 5 hours. At a point, I went from Disney songs, you can just sing Let It Go for only so long until going insane, to classic Italian opera, and then to some nice rock songs, Nightwish, Evanescence, In This Moment. At the end of the day, my voice gave up on me, but the magic had happened. It was silence in the house, no music, no loud talking or screaming, and the next day, also no noise. The party was over. I never did talk to them again or see them, but I think they still live in the same apartment block, but it's a lot quieter now. One whole day of obscene loud singing might not have been the biggest revenge for all the nights they stole of my sleep, but I felt great about it. Thanks for listening. TLDR, Night Bears went to party at night for weeks. I pay them back with Disney songs for a whole day. And you know what? As far as revenge goes, singing for revenge, not an awful revenge at all, is it? I mean, if you like the songs, you might enjoy it for a little while, but eventually you're going to get pretty damn sick of it, I reckon. Alrighty. I'm not even going to cut this. Normally I put a cut between all my stories so that I can, chop and change them. But I'm going to put this one straight in here, and if it doesn't work, then you obviously won't hear any more after this point. This story is submitted by Reddit user nhannon87 and actually was submitted 11 minutes ago at the time of recording, and is titled, "Not Going to Do Your Work? I'll Come By Early to Catch You Drinking on the Job." A while ago, I worked as an aide for adults with mental disabilities. I worked the overnights. The shifts were 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. and we were required to be up all night. I had one daytime co-worker who was the worst. He was lazy and left chores for me to do for him. Didn't interact with the clients like he was supposed to. He had some weird habits too, like brushing his teeth before he left, but we didn't think much of these. The worst part is he was constant, like half hour late, and always calling to see if me or whoever was relieving him could come in early for him. No one liked him, but he never did anything that put him in serious trouble. Also, this was a place where most of the time you're alone with the clients, no one watching you while you're working. I wanted him gone. I decided to try and find anything I can to get rid of him. One day I arrive about 30 minutes early to my shift and see the two clients, an older man in his 70s and a young girl around 20, outside alone. He was inside in the staff office with the blinds closed, meaning there's no way for him to see the clients. Note, he'd been told not to do this before. Annoyed, but not surprised, I was into the staff office and see him there on the computer. I look over at the couch in the office and see a purple velvet bag with the narrow top of a bottle sticking out. If that's the purple velvet bag I'm thinking of, that's what is it? Chivas Royal Salute? I've always wanted to try that. Chivas is my favourite scotch. Where am I up to in this story? Because as I said, this one is just a huge paragraph. Narrow top of a bottle sticking out. I act as if I never saw it. I say hi and started putting my things away for the night. When I look again, it was gone. After he left, I immediately contact the house manager and put in a form about what I saw to the head of the region. As I leave the next morning, he didn't relieve me. The head of the region calls me very concerned and asking questions. That night, I checked his schedule. No, we could look up anyone's schedule and saw all his shifts gone except for a 1-hour meeting at the regional office. Later found out he was fired because of my report. It felt so good to be rid of him. We also discovered he brushed his teeth after each shift, trying to rid his breath of alcohol before going home. That's disgusting. Drinking at work? What the fuck is wrong with you? Seriously, if you don't like your job that much, quit. If you do like your job, why the hell are you drinking at work? It can't be that boring if you're enjoying it. Anyway, guys, that has brought us to the end of this episode. Sorry about that little preachy moment there at the end. I hope you enjoyed it. I think that last story might stay in, so you might actually have heard it. If you didn't, though, I'm sorry, it sucked. If you did, it was a good story, huh? Yeah, what'd you think of that last one? Anyway, guys, this video has gone on more than long enough. Thank you very much for tuning in once again. I'll be back tomorrow with more fantastic footage and commentary and such, and you will be here to see it because you've already hit that subscribe button. And in addition, I'd like to ask you if you could also hit the like button. That would be fantastic. Leave me a comment below. Let me know if there's any subreddits you'd like me to have a look at. Your favourite one would be tremendous. And I'll see you tomorrow.
Jazz Club.